If you've been following my channel for a while, then you know I'm someone who's been enjoying the game of basketball basically throughout my entire life. As a guy who's now in his mid-30s, I've seen a lot. Some of the incredible things I've witnessed from various superstars are not the kinds of things that future generations can understand by simply looking at a stat sheet. Some things you just either had to see with your own eyes or you needed to have it described to you in detail. So all of this got me thinking. Since I plan on being a dad in the next few years, and since there's a decent likelihood that my kids will like the game of basketball as well, what are things I'm going to tell them about the basketball I witnessed before they were born? This will certainly make for a weirder yet more interesting video, in the sense that we're sharing some of the more personal side of our basketball fandom. So regardless of where you're at in life, whether you're in your youth, you're a parent, or a grandparent, let me know in the comments what are things you would tell the next generation of basketball fans. So without further ado, let's get into it. First off, I'll tell my kids about my dad's favorite player, Magic Johnson. Although I'm not old enough to have witnessed Magic's prime as it was actually happening, I was able to watch a countless number of full games thanks to my dad recording basically everything he saw on VHS tapes. I will tell my kids that I never saw a point guard as mesmerizing as Magic Johnson. Sometimes, great facilitators are described as if they have eyes in the back of their head, but no player fits that term better than Magic, as he would make fast break, no-look passes that would have even his teammates confused. I just know Magic was beating it into his teammates' head every practice to keep their eyes alert and to keep their hands ready, because at any moment, a speeding bullet of a no-look pass could be coming in their direction when they least expect it. On top of that, Magic had the Showtime Lakers sprinting like they were track athletes, so his ability to make split-second decisions with extremely precise accuracy and execution was truly marvelous. I don't care what anyone says, we haven't seen a player like him since, and that's what I'll tell my kids. Next, I'll tell them about my favorite player, Kobe Bryant. I'll tell them that from a stats and accolades standpoint, it's hard to argue that Kobe was the greatest player of all time. But when I was watching him at his best, night in and night out, I had never seen a basketball player more impressive in my entire life. At least 4 or 5 times a game, Kobe would hit shots that would leave me awestruck. It didn't matter if he was off balance, if he was 40 feet away, if he was double teamed, or if he was falling out of bounds. Every single shot was within his range, and it got to the point that I expected every shot to go in, and was somewhat surprised when it didn't. Before or since, I've never seen anyone else who could regularly make bad shots look like good shots. Which leads me to my next story. I will tell them that the closest player to Kobe when it comes to difficult shot making was Steph Curry. He was like the Mamba in the sense that he can make shots decently often that would make my jaw hit the floor. It's just that his were a little different. I'll tell them that Steph changed the game by forcing defenses to cover the ball handler the instant he crossed half court. Again, Kobe had the greatest wow factor, but Steph was the closest behind him. Now for the next story that I'll tell my kids, I'll probably aggravate quite a few people who are watching this video. But I don't care. Get your own kids. I will tell them about the difference between Michael Jordan and Kevin Durant. To me, the biggest difference that separates them from a character and legacy standpoint is also an important analogy and lesson for how we approach life. Let's start with Michael Jordan. When this guy was drafted, he was obviously a very hyped prospect with loads of talent and potential. But the organization he was joining in Chicago was an absolute joke at the time he arrived. They had never won a championship, they had no history of being successful whatsoever, and frankly, their own city was hardly even interested in watching them play. MJ changed all of that through hard work and commitment, by being one of the strongest competitors and one of the most driven individuals in the history of sports. He transformed that franchise from the laughingstock of the league to an absolute powerhouse. He built it from the ground up into an empire that would become the gold standard of basketball. And that, more than any other reason, is why he's still revered and so respected within the world of sports. Then you have Kevin Durant. In a way that was similar to Jordan, Durant was a highly desired prospect heading into the NBA draft. As a player who was around 7 feet tall and had the skills of an elite perimeter shooter, people saw that he had the potential to be one of the select few greatest players of all time. But unlike Jordan, Durant didn't stick around to build his organization into a champion from the ground up, but instead he took the path of least resistance and joined the team that had just beaten him, that had already won a championship, and that had the greatest regular season record in NBA history. He opted to go with a brand that had already established itself and that already belonged to another star. Because of this, even after he was able to win 2 championships with the team, he was never respected to the extent that he would have been if he built up a championship team somewhere else. Obviously, being successful anywhere is going to be more enjoyable than simply not being successful. Yet there's something special about being the one who leads your own destiny, who builds your own legacy, and who makes something better than the way you found it. Being successful is awesome, but it always means more to yourself and to other people when you are the main reason for your own success, rather than riding the wave of what someone else created. Additionally, if my kids ever asked me what was the best era of basketball that I ever witnessed, I will tell them the 2000s. I don't think this will be a popular choice with many of my viewers, because from a physicality and rivalry standpoint, the 80s and 90s are usually held on the highest pedestal. And then, with recency bias being a factor, and with the tremendous amount of talent all over the league the last decade, some of my viewers will see the 2010s or even this modern era as the best in basketball history. For me, the 2000s were the best of both worlds. You still had intense rivalries like the Lakers and Kings and like the Pacers and Pistons. You had incredible individual superstars and you had an array of three-point shooters. But it wasn't to the extent that the game appeared as a soft jump shooters league. To put it simply, it had balance. It was the perfect blend of the slowed down physical nature from previous eras, but was also a time where tremendous shooters could ultimately be the determining factor in who wins the championship. If I could simply hit a switch and have the league instantly return to the style and product that it was throughout the 2000s, I would do it in a heartbeat. Lastly, I will tell my children about the weirdness of the 2020 bubble. If I'm being completely honest, I don't completely love or hate what transpired during the 2020 playoffs. In one sense, it was pretty freaking awesome, because there were almost no distractions, no actual audience, and no overwhelming stadium noise. In a way, it was just extremely competitive basketball in its purest form. But on the other hand, it was kinda lame, because all of the playoff games were just in one specific location, which means that the home court advantage was irrelevant, which also means that all of the regular season qualifying games were pretty much a waste of time, since the 1 through 4 seeds didn't actually get home court advantage like they deserved. It was basically this weird blip in NBA history where I was grateful for its presence, but also skeptical about its legitimacy for a variety of reasons. Obviously, I'll have a lot more to tell my hypothetical basketball-loving children than just this, but these are just some of the things that immediately come to mind for me. So how about you guys? What are basketball things that you will tell the next generation? I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.